I couldn't try random codes the whole day. The possible combinations were endless. The screensaver showed an aquarium. Couldn't you just buy a real one instead? The reflection from the TV prevented me from understanding what was portrayed in the photo. Who knew if the universal remote control trick would also work on that device? Bingo! I pressed the buttons on the remote control again, but I soon realized the sad truth. My purebred pony had kicked the bucket for good that time. It had been a faithful sidekick, but now it was time to part ways forever. So that pompous dwarf was married. Maybe that could be my key to entry. Father Carlo left.
You just missed him. You'll find him around the corner, at the Church of St. Francis in Verma.
Good to know. As much as it might seem absurd, he could be able to help me. Hi. Do you know anything about the Marquis de Vilta's marriage?
You surely do ask strange questions. Anyway, no. I didn't even know he was married. I've never seen his wife.
If I say the name Tekla, does it ring a bell?
Tekla. I don't think I've ever read anything of hers.
She's not a writer, but a local who lives in the area.
Oh. But even so, the name doesn't mean anything to me.
Take care, Gaia. Ads of various kinds, missing pets, dental practice, tours of San Leo aboard a helicopter. Wait a minute, a helicopter? Was it possible it belonged to the very person I was trying to track? The ad displayed an address, and on the bottom an additional note. The tour of Castle Sancti Leonis is cancelled due to permit revocation. The church was exactly like I expected it to be, colorful and bright, but austere. I wasn't exactly an expert, but it looked very ancient. Hello, Father Carlo. Lucky I found you.
Forgive me? What do you mean? Were we playing hide and seek with the children of the oratory?
No, I meant... Wait, are they playing hide and seek? I love hide and seek.
Do you need something?
Oh, yes, definitely. I'd like to ask you a few questions.
Ask me? Are you sure?
Absolutely not. Have you got any documents for the wedding celebrated in this church?
Certainly. How else could I remember all those names and dates?
Perfect. How much do you want to let me look at the data related to the wedding of the Marquis de Vilta?
We men of faith haven't engaged in such things since the scandal of selling indulgences, my dear Giacomo. De Villa? De Vilponi? De Vilta, 23rd of November 1992. Oh, but here I read about a divorce a few years later. How unfortunate.
Father, you just gave me some vital assistance. See you later, Father. The plaque identified the figure as St. Leo, patron of the city. I imagine someone more muscular and fierce. Hello? Hey, is anybody there?
I don't think I said come on in.
Are you crazy? You could have killed me.
If I really wanted to kill you, I wouldn't have missed the target. What do you want? I'm not buying Bibles or vacuum cleaners, so if that's why you came, I suggest you leave the house before I sit down. At that point, I could decide to improve my aim. You're still here?
Do you always welcome your guests like this?
I never receive guests. At most, clients. Are you a client?
It was Oliviero who referred me to you. He claims you might know something about getting permission to access Castle Saint something.
That pompous Marquisaster. I wanted to organize a tour that ended with a visit to the castle, but he refused to sign this useless piece of paper.
Wait a minute. Are you telling me you have a permit?
I never throw anything away, especially a nice piece of paper. You know, for when you're in the middle of the woods and nature calls.
Can I have it? I need it urgently.
Do you need it right now? I have some toilet paper in the bathroom.
No, I need it to get into the castle.
Ah, I don't have any use for it. But I don't think you'll be able to get it signed. That small-time noble only pays attention to those who have the same color blood as him.
Blue?
Black as pitch.
I also need to ask some questions. I saw you pass by in a helicopter earlier.
So what?
It's not something you see every day. Besides, I got the impression you were looking for something.
You're wrong. I was just taking a sightseeing tour of the area.
Tekla just offered up a nice lie. Tell me about the snake.
You should have asked my father. My area of expertise is flora. Fauna is just a secondary pastime.
You know full well what I mean. Not long ago, Liviero cited a snake as he cursed you, and I'm pretty sure you know what he was talking about.
And yet I don't have the slightest idea, all right?
Lie number 2. Do you know anything about Duke Cagliostro?
You mean Count Cagliostro.
Uh-huh. Then you do know something.
They talk about him in town all the time, but that doesn't mean anything.
That's enough. I don't need to have studied kinesics like Alice to know that you're blatantly lying.
I don't know what you're talking.
Oh, I'm pretty sure you do. Since I got here, both you and Oliviero have done nothing but talk in riddles. Initially, I just thought you were being coy towards a stranger, but now I'm convinced. You two are hiding something.
Who are you, really? And what the hell do you want from us?
I knew I had to give something if I wanted to get something. All right, let's dispense with the disguise. I'm not a tourist. I'm a detective on the trail of a sect of lunatics. I still don't know why, but my investigation led me right here, to San Leo, in the footsteps of Count Cagliostro.
A detective. Are you kidding me? Looking like that?
You're free to check my credentials with HPD in Miami. Now it's your turn. Tell me what you're up to, and what Cagliostro has to do with it.
You were convincing, but I still can't trust just any guy who comes here and purports to be a great detective. I'll have to do a background check. Let's talk again this evening, at nightfall, in front of the fortress of San Leo. And now get out of my place before I really lose my temper.
De Vilta hadn't returned home yet, and I had the feeling he would stay out a long time. I entered the date following the American format. Well, in Italy, you had to first type the day, then the month, and finally the year. Finally, inside. And once when I was a child, my palette of paints fell on the ground. I could swear the result resembled that painting. The library was well stocked with classics and ancient architecture books, but I couldn't see anything that would be of any interest. The upteenth closed door. It was useless to persist, unless I found a key somewhere. There it was, right there in plain sight. De Vilta's signature. The canvas revealed two things. The first was the total absence of talent of the Marquis. The second was the void the divorce must have left in him. Everybody suffers, after all. The signature on the canvas could have been just what I needed. The form was properly superimposed, but I still couldn't see the signature on the canvas. The lamp would make the canvas more transparent, facilitating the forging work I had to do. Even De Vilta himself wouldn't have noticed the counterfeiting. With the correctly signed form, I could finally access the infamous Castle Sancte Leones. Hey, I eventually learned the name.
Move along, move along. There's nothing to see here.
It looks like there's an ancient medieval castle, actually.
You see wrong. This is private property, not a tourist attraction. And now, move along.
Immediately got it. That dude would be a real pain in the neck.
You again? If I'm not mistaken, I gently suggested that you vanish.
I don't think that will be the case.
But what? How?
And now, gently lead the way.
This way.
But did Lake let you enter?
Sure, I have a regularly signed permit.
That's incredible. Go ahead.
Hey, you.
Yes?
I warned Mr. Beringler about your arrival, and he seems unhappy about it. Very unhappy.
And you? Aren't you happy to be in my company?
If you don't shut that mouth of yours...
What's all this commotion? Lake, I told you to show our guest in. Mr.?
Bundy. Lazarus Bundy. I have a form personally signed by the Marquis de Vilta.
Please have a seat in my office.
See you soon, my friend.
It doesn't end here.
Would you like a drink?
I don't drink, thanks. At least I was able to spare myself that vice.
Good for you. Then, Mr. Bundy, I feel it's necessary to clarify some points. I am Walter Beringler, the curator that the Marquis de Vilta has designated to manage his property. As such, I can't help but ask, how did you get a permit to access the building?
I had been provident enough to come up with a good excuse for just such a possibility. Well, let's just say the Marquis and I have some business together, of which I can't openly talk about. Just know that I arrived here in San Leo with but a single aim. Spend the little fortune I've accumulated these last few years.
Fortune coming from?
Oh, well, I'm a partner of a company dealing mainly in boats.
Boats?
The Mulzberg Company in Miami, to be exact. You have no idea how profitable that sector can be. I strongly hoped he didn't check my credentials. On the other hand, even if he did decide to check, he would need time, while I intended to complete my investigation as soon as possible.
Well, if the Marquis has decided so, I guess there's nothing else to do. But please, pay special attention. This castle is very ancient, and as such, delicate.
I'd be like a child in an Egyptian museum. That is to say, I would snoop around everywhere, and occasionally break something without being seen.
Now, if you'll excuse me, I must ask you to come back tomorrow morning for your visit. It is now evening, and we have to close.
I didn't realize it was so late. The appointment with Tekla and Olive occurred to me immediately. I had to hurry if I didn't want to miss them. They're late. I hope they hurry up. I don't feel at ease here.
I don't have any hostile intentions.
Said the guy who just came out of the darkness dressed like a plague doctor.
I'm glad to finally meet you personally.
Give me a valid reason why I shouldn't rip that mask off and smash your face.
I can list a few. First of all, you can't be certain you're capable of it. But the main reason is that you're curious to hear what I have to say.
Huh.
Well, now that I have your attention, I'd say we can start. Until now, you've done a very good job. The lead that took you from Miami to San Leo was very weak, and a less resolute man wouldn't have traveled so far from home.
Or a less desperate one.
You're very frank.
And you have proven to be smart. And a smart man knows perfectly well how dangerous a desperate man can be.
I won't underestimate you as Radwed is, though, rest assured.
Speaking of Radwed...
Radwed is the withered petal that risk letting the entire rose die.
Rose?
Now we have more pressing questions to face. First of all, your mission here. Maybe you still haven't fully realized how many things we must bring to light.
I can sense that there is something huge under my feet.
The lost seal of Count Cagliostro.
Lost seal?
An ancient symbol, lost for centuries. that I searched for my whole life without success. It's the reason I chose you. I'm compromised, but you're free to move. You're alert, and you're motivated enough.
That's all? You could have found tons of detectives like me.
Touché. There's another reason, but we'll talk about that later. Now, I have another question for you. After which, you can decide if you still want to smash my face or not. You couldn't have made it this far alone. Have you been helped?
No. Everything I did on my own.
You're very trustworthy. You'd never betray your companions. Excellent. Now, if you'll excuse me, I must leave. I have a train to catch. A train that will take me to Rome at the first light of dawn.
You!
Don't wear yourself out. Don't fight the smoke. Welcome it. Make it yours. Take a deep breath. What you've just inhaled is, of course, a powerful sedative, but also something else. Let me tell you why I chose you. I can cure.
Here we are, Lamberto. I told you to call me when you wanted to go down. That vase you broke was a rare piece from your collection.
You gave us a real scare, Professor.
Who are you?
I'm Alice, Professor. It's an honor to meet you in person.
Alice, like the heroine from the cartoon.
The cartoon came after the books. How do you feel, Professor?
Confused, like I've been sleeping for months.
I'm making dinner in a bit, my dear. Of course, consider yourself a guest of the professor. We'll think later about how to get him back to his room.
How come?
The ramp is old and battered. After being used, it takes hours before it will run again.
Maybe I can take a look in a while. I'm not an electrician, but I know my way around. Professor, getting back to us, the reason I came here is to ask for your help. But to do that, I have to show you something. Professor, what can you tell me about this little mirror?
Put that away!
Do you recognize it? Can you tell what's so special about it?
Yes, but at this moment, I'm confused, like I've been sleeping for months.
Take all the time you need, Professor. Reorganize your thoughts.
Yes, reorganize thoughts. My head. I'm starting to, something. A what? Ha! The fleet! Invincible! It was invincible!
What, Professor? What was invincible?
My room, Take me. My room.
Do you want to go back to your room?
My room!
Marie, is it a problem if I go upstairs to take a look? I could try to repair the lift platform's control unit.
Well, if that is what the professor wants, I don't think I have any say in that.
Thanks. Such a peculiar room. This must be the broken control unit. At first glance, everything looks fine. If I really want to understand what's wrong with it, I'll need to manually verify all the connections. I will also need something to restore the faulty pins once identified. Those aluminum remains. I could use them to restore the broken electrical connections. The voltage tester could be useful for repairing the control unit. Perfect! Now I can control the tension of the electrical connections with the tester, and then temporarily fix them with the aluminum sheets. I did an initial check, and it seems these are the pins I have to focus on. I managed to obtain these 3 usable sheets of aluminum, with which I'll restore the necessary connections. All right, now it should work fine. Let's hope the professor can give me a hand somehow. Brace yourself, Professor.
My beloved.
Your bedroom. Are you happy to be here?
Here, it's where I work. I worked. The thoughts come and go.
Is there anything else I can do to help you?
My safe. Find it, and I opened it, and...
Do you mean this strange bas-relief in your library?
Who are you, and what do you want?
I'm Alice, Professor. I'll take care of your safe. If I can. The safe will surely be protected with a combination. Maybe I'll find some clues here in the room. First, I need to find and open the safe hidden in this room.
Do you always talk to yourself, miss?
I don't have to analyze the professor. The dangers of summoning evil. Eastern demonology. Great minds from the 2 golden centuries. Reading upside down, a change in perspective. Am I wrong, or am I getting reactions? Professor, let's see what you can tell me.
Talk, speak.
I'm sure of it. While his hand movement is involuntary trembling, the eyes and mouth gestures are hints that the professor is unconsciously giving me. The eyes could indicate the direction toward the right book, while the angle of the mouth might suggest the vicinity. In this case, I would tend to follow the normal rules. Mouth curled in a smile means I'm getting closer, and vice versa. The only truth behind the mirror. Chinese philosophy. The 70 beads of the Franciscan Rosary. The terracotta army of the first Emperor Qin. The 71 most famous legends. The figures to insert seem to be associated with clear geographical references. It can't be a coincidence. It's a portrait of Professor Visconi. He must be at least 10 years younger here. He was an extremely fascinating man. It makes me sad that I only met him now that he's so empty. He seems a completely different person than the one I met. In the portrait, he indicates to a green book. Curious. He seems a completely In the portrait, he indicates... The items in the backgrounds were painted with a special contrast that makes them stand out. Professor, I was wondering, the book you are pointing at in the portrait...
The book. My book.
What's this? Notes. Will they be useful for the safe?
Safe.
It depicts the Egyptian pyramids at sunset. It's very suggestive. Who knows what those symbols on the upper left mean? I'm not an expert in languages, but they look to have a certain logic. I did it! Well, as expected, there's a lot of money. I don't think I've ever seen so much all at once. And documents. One seems to be in Polish. I can only understand a single word. Cagliostro. I don't know what they're about, but they could help Lars. I'll think of a way to get them to him later. There's also another paper back here. It's in Spanish. Jeez. I can understand little or nothing. It's about something that happened in the 16th century. The Invincible Armada?
That's the... Invincible Fleet.
The professor is upset. What the hell did Lars and I get into? I have to talk to Marie. I hope I didn't unsettle the professor too much. And he was very alarmed. I'm afraid I made him overexert himself.
Don't worry, dear. He'll recover. I know he doesn't look like it, but Lamberto is a tough guy.
You two must be very close.
And you must be very tired. And it's already evening outside. So now I'll prepare the guest room for you.
No, please. I'll find a B&B nearby and...
Nonsense. A good night's rest is exactly what you need, and I don't want to hear one more word.
All right, then. You're too kind, really.
Now, why don't you go wait in the professor's room? You can keep him company while I fix up the room, okay?
Gladly. This time, though, I promise I won't tease him. How are you? Do you feel better?
Yes, better, but I'd love to help you.
You've already exerted yourself too hard for one day. And now you have to rest.
Rest, yes. Tomorrow will be better.
Alice, dear, the room is ready.
I have to go now. I bid you good night, Professor.
Be careful, kind miss.
That's pointless. I won't be able to fall asleep. I might as well get back to work completing my research. All right, the ravings of the professor seem to point towards an invincible fleet. I'll start from there and make a note of all the information that seems relevant. That way, if I happen to lose track, I can just refer to my notes. Really strange. I remember the historical event in question. but not that the Spanish fleet was completely wiped out from storms. I may be starting to get paranoid, but I find it suspicious and unsettling. That picture in the top right, the item D is holding in his hand is identical to the one I have in my pocket right now. Lars claims to have heard whispers coming from the mirror. Maybe it really is a contact with the next world. Oh, I've got chills now. Fascinating. These alchemists intended to cross the borders of reality as we know it, and never let themselves be intimidated by anything. They remind me of Lars from a certain point of view. And what's this? The Hand of Glory is an alchemical artifact composed of the dried hand of a hanged man kept in brine. That's gross. According to tradition, the hand gives the bearer total control of whoever is nearby. If correctly completed, in fact, it allows paralysis of everyone in its presence. If correctly completed... Who knows what that means? The hand was a tool used in necromancy to speak to the dead or obtain control of the spirits. It seems terrifying, but a few details sound familiar. The dried hand of a hanged man. Is it possible that Mulzberg... They are here. I don't have to panic. The documents I found, they mustn't get their hands on them.
What? Thief!
Calm down, Professor. It's just a bad dream.
Oh, good. I'll go back to sleep then.
Quick. There, that's all I can do. And now...